in just about 9 minutes on CBS Sports Radio, 1580 AM. I do this every year. The world's longest fantasy football radio show in the planet, on planet Earth, is this show that I'm about to go on right here in now 8 minutes. 1580 AM. Russ Bliss and I have been doing this together for 16 plus years. What's up, Poke? You're about to be a part of CBS Sports Radio, which is going to go live here in about 8 minutes. I'm jumping on with Russ Bliss. He's getting ready now. He's going to dial me up on the phone, and we're going to try it out. This is the first time we're going to stream my end of the show, so bear with me with the audio. It'll be on until I figure out how to do it properly. Given what the equipment he's got and the equipment I got, and we got to cross, make this work. It's going to be on this phone here, so we'll see how good the audio is. Bear with me. Also, bear with me on in terms of questions. I'm not going to be able to answer questions while I'm in the middle of the radio show. If we do turn to questions, I will look at the comments and try and pull from the questions in the chat. But just know I'm not going to be able to. I know I'm going to look over and see, Smitty, why are you ignoring me? I'm in the middle of a freaking show. I'm just telling you right now. So let me turn on the lighting here. All right. So we're going live here in about 7 minutes. Russ Bliss will be calling me from CBS Sports. We will go live. We're broadcasting live here already. And this is going to be an awesome show. We're going to talk about an hour fantasy football, preseason, rankings, running backs, wide receivers. We're going to get into a lot of stuff heading into the 2019 fantasy football season right here, CBS Sports Radio, 1580 AM. We're going to go live on there in just about 6 to 7 minutes. So hang tight. I can answer questions until we go live, until this phone rings, and I get the bat call from the bat cave that we are going live. So why am I not on a scooter? Because I'm on a CBS Sports Radio show, baller. That's why. I can't do it all. I can't scooter, be in my studio, and go live on CBS Sports Radio all at the same time. Come on. But the scooter will hopefully be coming out soon. Smitty, you look camera ready. Thank you, baller. I appreciate it. Zeke at 4, or do you go DJ? I'm still itching to go Zeke. I know a lot of people are going to think that's crazy. Hit the thumbs up on your way in, people. And let me go live on Instagram real quick and let everybody know that we are a go. Guys, we're live over on youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. I'm live. I'm going in 3 minutes on CBS Sports Radio, broadcasting it live from my side of the fence here on youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. So get on over to the YouTube channel, going live on CBS Sports Radio in about 3 to 4 minutes. So get on over to youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show if you want to be a part of this CBS Sports Radio show that I'm going to broadcast live from my side of the fence right now. Get on over there, youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. Okay, so share that. We're good. Question, Christian Kirk is your number what wide receiver? He should be a 3 or a 4. He shouldn't be anybody's like number 2 or anything. Thank you, my ball. Need a sleeper you designed scooter. I do, baller. I do. What's up, Matthew? Is there a case to pick up? Is there a case to pick Lev Bell and AB? You mean on the same team? That's a pretty risky proposition. Tony's in the house with the super chat. Thank you, Tony. The Tony Meister. Tony, we're going live on CBS Sports Radio in just a couple minutes here. Russ Bliss is going to be calling me. Tony, thank you. I'm in a big deal email draft right now. I took Kenyon Drake in the 7th. If Ballage is still there in the 8th, I must take him. Puke. I don't know if you must take him, but it wouldn't be a horrible idea. But, you know, I'm not passing on Darwin Thompson's, and I'm not passing on Samuels and guys like that for Drake and Ballage. But I know a lot of people are, so I don't blame you for doing that. But I myself, I like Darwin Thompson. I love Madison. I love Henderson, Samuel, those are the guys I'm grabbing in 7 to 11. I don't know that I would spend 2 of them on these guys because I hate Miami for any fantasy player, really. So I kind of like Ballage, however you want to say his name. I like him alone. I don't know that I like Drake at all. But Drake could be a sleeper, so I'm not saying cut him, Tony. I'm not saying cutting ties with him would be smart either. But I don't know that I could spend 2 on that Miami backfield because the Miami backfield is just, who knows what's going to happen. And Miami sucks, man. Miami's going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So it's a good question, Tony, and not a bad approach. And if you've got all those other guys in a bunch of other leagues, it doesn't matter. You know, you said it's a serious league, though. Darwin Thompson, Samuels, those guys, I think, win your league. Look at Darwin already. Darwin's climbing up so fast. We've been talking about him when people weren't even Baller says it's pronounced Balaj. All right. We should be getting the back call here any second. So bear with me. Yeah, that's a tough one, Tony. Tough one. What's up, man, David? You want to say one thing about Jimmy G? Can I please? Well, David, go ahead. If I have time before the back call comes in from CBS Sports Radio and we go live, then I'm all CBS Sports Radio for the next hour. So I won't be able to really read anybody's questions or comments. So get it out now while you have it. Drop penny. Dilemma. I have Carson, Damian, benches Westbrook, DJ Moore, Curtis, Samuel, Henderson, Singletary, Penny. Do I drop any of these guys for Darwin? Of course you drop somebody for Darwin. Darwin shouldn't be on free agents in the free agent pool right now. And I agree you drop Penny from that name. Matthew has you covered. What's up, Andrew? We're going live here in about 2 minutes on CBS Sports Radio. I do this every year. This is my 16th year in a row on CBS Sports Radio, 1580 AM. And Russ Bliss has had this show for 23 years, I believe. It might be 24. I'll have to confirm with him here on the show. We forget every year when we start it and we got to count. But no fantasy football show in the world has run longer than our show. 23 years running. At least 23. We'll find out if it's 24. 23 years running we've been doing this fantasy football radio show. It's bounced from NBC to CBS. We're on CBS Sports Radio now currently and have been for the last couple of years. And it's a dinosaur in the fantasy football business. Russ has been doing this for 23. I have been doing it 16 with him. And it is the longest running show in the world for fantasy football, longer than anybody else can claim, and we've tried to find it. If you have a claim to something longer, not talking about a little podcast in your garage, we're talking about on a radio program, drop it, and we love to know, but we've searched and we can't find anything. So we claim it. We claim it. Tell Russ to take a lap. David, no, I'm not going to do that. Russ ain't taking no lap. Russ has done his time. He's a dinosaur. He doesn't take a lap for no one. Russ Bliss, the man on the screen right here. So we should be getting the back call in 30 seconds. Smitty, your content is top notch. Thank you, Flores. I appreciate it. Nick Mullins is the answer, says David. Is this what you want to talk about, David, with Jimmy G? I'm about to get into a fantasy football league, and I was thinking about getting Baker Mayfield only because he has Odell Beckham Jr., and it's a smart... I love Baker. I love Odell. I love stacking the two. I'm all about the stack. I'm all about stacking, like, Adams and A-Rod, Baker and Odell, Breeze and Mike Thomas. You can listen online on... it's 1580. Let me get the exact website for you. If you want to listen online, it's 1580thefanatic.com. If you want to listen to the show live on there, but you're going to watch it live and hear it live, so what better way to do it than on the Fantasy Football Show? So let's get to it. I'll try and answer some of your questions, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. You guys are just going to have to absorb and enjoy the show and the content. If we turn to questions, I will definitely see if I can slip some of you guys into the Q&A. We do have, I believe, open phone lines. We'll find out if there's a phone line issue. There might have been a phone line issue. I like Waller a lot. So I'll let you know if there's a phone line issue or not, or you'll hear about it during the show. So we will get to it. Are you going to do a setup every night where you film? So, Matthew, I'm on every Wednesday night, and I should be doing my side of it from my studio here at the Fantasy Football Show Studios. So, every Wednesday night from 10 p.m. Eastern, which is right now, 10:02 p.m., until 9 p.m. or 11 p.m. Eastern, and Pacific time at 7 o'clock. And so from 7 to 8 Pacific time. So every Wednesday you will find me right here in my studio, but on CBS Sports Radio, 1580 AM. And we're just waiting for the call. Name a tight end. What? All right, Matthew. Henderson, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He could. I love that people are jumping ship on Darrell Henderson. I love it. Darrell Henderson is going to still be a guy I target almost in every draft that I have left. I love that he's falling to 7 or 8 now. I'm all about that value. I'll take him at 7 to 8. Here we go. This is Smitty.
Hey, Smitty, how you doing? This is Jason, our 1580 The
Yeah.
Fanatic. You ready to go on air with Russ?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Just let you know, we are having some technical difficulties here today, so Russ is actually on his phone, so I got you on a guest line. We got the first hour with our first guest, so don't be working, but
all right.
It's coming in a little weird.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. I'll let him know.
Can you guys hear that okay? Tell me if you can hear Russ.
Doing it and bringing me back, and I just have a blast talking to you guys in person and getting a chance to.
Can you guys hear that okay?
I have seen kids grow up in families from people that have been coming out here for the last 20 years. I've seen 4-year-olds that are now in the Army. So it's just amazing to me.
Can you hear that?
That I've been doing it for so long, and it's been my absolute honor. So I greatly do appreciate that.
Can you guys hear that okay? Okay, good.
And now I just, again, we are having those technical difficulties. We're going to get this all worked out by next week. So don't think I'm always going to sound like as though I'm in a closet. We will get this figured out. I'm sure it's going to be something I probably did on my end. I seem to remember it was 2 or 3 years ago when actually the connection problem back then on the very first show.
So it sounds like we're having some connection issues, so he is having to dial in himself. So next week we'll hear him a little clearer.
Unmute his microphone. That was really kind of funny. I do believe Smitty was my guest that particular night for that particular show. And he joins us again now for hour number 2 from the FantasyFootballShow.com and SleeperU.com. Long-time guest of this program, Smitty joins us. Smitty, my friend, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Russ, can you hear me okay?
Say what?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, everything's okay. Just I have to be doing it over the iPhone instead of through my regular connection because I screwed something up. You know, it happens. You get 53 years old, you forget how to plug in the headphones or something. That's just the way life goes. So let's go ahead and talk some fantasy football. I'm so glad to have you on the program. And before we get started, I want you to tell everybody about the FantasyFootballShow.com and what that's all about, because I know that that's been really taking off for you.
Yeah, I mean, I started in really February, Russ, and I did a 24-hour live stream where I just live stream on my show. Is brand new. Didn't even have a ton of subscribers or followers at that point. Went for 24 straight hours. I made it. I'm here to tell the story. And we did really well. The show grew rather well. But we weren't big enough yet for it to have a huge impact and for people to even know I was really doing it other than some of the organic growth that I had. So I'm doing it again, ironically, this Friday. I'm going live for 24 straight hours. Russ, I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere. So if you want to call in at any point, please do. But I'll be going live again for 24 straight hours. So it's The Fantasy Football Show. You can either get to the YouTube show by going to thefantasyfootballshow.com. It'll redirect you. Or you can just go to youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. But Russ, since February, going from about 0 to 24, whatever 100 subscribers we have, I'm breaching about 1.7 million watch minutes per 28 days. So about every month we're at 1.7 million watch minutes. So it's grown so fast in like 6 months. And I have the community watching me right now. I'm recording myself live on YouTube right now. And there's between 30 and 60 people in the room constantly. And they're all listening, Russ. They're ready to go. They're new listeners of the Red Zone, and they can't wait to get started.
Well, let's go ahead and not disappoint them. Let's start. Let's talk about draft strategies for 2019. Has yours changed at all this year? Are you going running back heavy early, or are you being fluid depending on where you pick? And are there any quarterbacks that you would consider in the first 3 rounds at a standard draft where you only start one quarterback?
My approach has always been the best player available, and while some years I do cater to going running back, at least with one of my 2 picks, if I can make it work, or going running back heavy, it's getting more and more to the point where it doesn't matter if I've got to go wide receiver, I'll go wide receiver. But bottom line for me is best player available, and then from there I let it guide my strategy. So if all things are equal, and I can make a balanced approach heading into the 3rd round, and come out of rounds 1 and 2 with a running back and a wide receiver, by all means, I'll do it. But it's not something that I force upon myself at all. And if I have bookend picks, I do tend to go wide receiver if I'm near the 11 or 12 pick in a 12-team draft. I do find myself with Mike Thomas and Odell Beckham Jr. or Mike Thomas and Dalvin Cook. Let's see here. Are you having trouble hearing me, Russ? Can you hear me now, Russ?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So my approach doesn't change too much depending on like I said, at 11, 12, I'm typically going wide receiver almost to a T every single time, just because that's the talent that falls there. Are you going running back, wide receiver, or wide receiver, running back still? Is that because I know that's been an approach of yours in the past, is to get one solid running back at least in the first 2 picks. Are you still sticking to that?
Usually it depends. If I'm thinking at the back end of the round, I want to know who the running backs are. Because this year I'm a little bit down on the wide receivers. Nuke Hopkins and Devontae Adams are pretty much atop the leaderboard right there. And then you've got guys like Julio Jones, after that. And there's some guys I'm staying away from this year, and Julio Jones has burned me each of the last 3 seasons, so I'm refusing to take him. You would have to judge. I don't even think a gun to my head could get me to take Julio Jones for round 4. And there's no way he's flipping to round 4, so I'm not worried about that. I always keep my options open. I'm always curious, depending as to where I'm drafting, who's available for me at that spot, and who's picking after me before I pick again, so I can kind of get a gauge of what I think they're going to do and where my best value lies right now in this round and what I can expect to get in round 2. And that's how I always do it. When you're picking at the front end of a draft, it's much harder to do that going into round number 2, but you still have a top 25 list of players that you're still liking very much. So you've got that idea. You're just not sure which one's going to fall to you. And I always play it by ear.
Yeah. It's a from year to year it can change, I think, in a lot of people's mind. But for me, it's just the best player available. I don't mind going wide receiver, and I'll go running back. The zero running back approach, I think, works really, really well, Russ, this year in particular, because there's a couple guys, we might talk about them later too, but guys like David Montgomery that fall to the 4th round that I love. Aaron Jones that falls to the 4th round. I love Aaron Jones. These guys make it very easy, whereas in years past, these guys make it very easy to formulate a really good wide receiver beginning to your draft in terms of those running backs later on. So.
Hey, Smitty from the Fantasy Football Show and SleeperU.com. He joins us every Wednesday evening in the 7 o'clock hours here on 1580 AM, 99.3 FM, the Fanatic, Arizona Field for Sports. Smitty, pretty much everything I've seen, first three picks, pretty much locked in stone, right? Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. I asked this of Gary in the last hour. I got his order as far as how he ranks them, 1, 2, and 3. What order do you rank those three? And is there someone else that you feel that should be in that conversation?
I'm a little different. Can you still hear me okay, Russ?
Actually, if you can crank yourself up on your end a little bit more, my technical director says that he's got your head all the way.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking as loud as I can right into the speaker. For those watching, we have a little technical difficulty, but I'll try and speak a little louder, Russ. But for me, I'm a little different. I've got Alvin Kamara as my number 1 overall player in 2019. I know a lot of people have him in their top 3, but for me, I haven't really wavered much at all with Kamara at my 1.01. Barkley, I'm actually feeling a little bit more excited about Daniel Jones. He looks pretty crisp, and I admit when I'm wrong, Russ, and I might have been wrong about judging this kid too early, but he's got to get in there for me to feel super comfortable with that offense. But Barkley is Barkley. He'll get his. I'm not dropping him out of my top 3 or anything like that, but it makes it hard for me to rank him above Kamara, who I think is a guaranteed 1,500 to 1,800 yard guy. I don't like this nonsense about Kamara being in a running back by committee. It's laughable. He's not a committee running back. He could get 90 to 100 receptions this year. He averages over 13 TDs, and he's had back-to-back years with 81 yards receiving. I am all in on Kamara, and I think Barkley and McCaffrey are arguable at 2 and 3, but I probably go Barkley.
I've got them ranked, and I'm surprised because most everyone has them Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara. I've got them Barkley, Kamara, McCaffrey in my current thought process. And I understand there's a bit of a risk with Saquon Barkley. He did it one year. He looked as elusive a running back as I've ever seen since Barry Sanders. He just has that special skill that makes up for the fact that he might have a crap passing game supporting him or a bad offensive line. He just looks that special. The thing that scares me is, can he do it a second year in a row? Whereas I know that Alvin Kamara, part of what makes him so appealing is that Drew Brees is not airing it out like he has in prior years. Drew Brees, for a while there, was guaranteed for 4,000 passing yards and 30-some-odd touchdowns, and he's starting to get up there in age. So you're seeing him check down a little bit more, going more the intermediate route than going for those big bombs. And I think that's going to continue, and that plays right now for Kamara's hands. If you're looking to try and convince someone, I'm a little on the fence on the Kamara Barkley thing myself.
Yeah, it's a tough call for me.
And really, if Elliott Gordon or Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon were in training camp right now, they would be mentioned any of these other 3 running backs, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean you'd have Melvin Gordon locked in at the 3 or the 5 or 6 spot, probably the 5 spot, pretty much guaranteed. I think that's where he was definitely. And Zeke Elliott would be your number 1 or number 2. I think most people would rank him, especially a lot of people have knee-jerk reactions when somebody's in the news and they're expecting a suspension, and then that suspension doesn't happen. Everybody almost goes in an exact, extreme direction. So as soon as everything was reported that Zeke wasn't going to get suspended for that, pushing that security guard over, he vaulted right to the top spot in most people's minds. Then he starts talking about the holdout, and he slowly falls and falls. The question for me, Russ, is where do people draft this guy if they're drafting tonight or tomorrow and they don't have the luxury of waiting? I'm still of the thinking I'm a little bit more risk adverse than most. And I feel like Zeke is going to be there. If he's not there week 1, he'll be there week 2. But I really believe that this will get fixed in the final hour. I don't think the Cowboys, unlike the Chargers, can afford to have Zeke off the field. There's so much more tied to Zeke Elliott in this franchise. He is the face. They will not be okay as an organization without him on the field. I think it gets fixed, and I still take him, Russ, and people might call me absolutely crazy, but I would still take him at 4 or 5.
He's Smitty from SleeperU.com and the FantasyFootballShow.com. He joins us every Tuesday night. Smitty, we're up against the break. I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to bring you right up on the other side. We're going to continue talking about running backs, go over some of the tiers, who are some of the more sleeper running backs. Also, before we let you go, you got to get your bold predictions because those are always a highlight at the beginning of every year. So stick right there. We'll bring you up again here in a few seconds.
Sounds good.
He's Smitty. I'm Russ Bliss. I'm live at Santisi Brothers Pizzeria and Sports Grill with the first show.
So we're going to go on a break, guys, so I can answer some questions while we are on break. We are at a commercial break on CBS Sports Radio. That is Russ Bliss. No negative talk. Russ is my boy. I've been with Russ for 16 years doing this. Russ is the man. And no one's been doing it longer than him on a radio show. 23 freaking years. This guy's an animal. He is a legend. So, I've known him for about 17, 18 years. And actually more like, I think I've known him since he started the show. So I've known him 23 years. And he's an animal. All right, let's get to it. Ask some questions while we're on a break. We're going to jump back on CBS Sports Radio after the commercial break and talk more football with Russ, talk about some bold predictions. But let's get to it. Thoughts on Melvin Gordon. You just heard me talk about Zeke Elliott. I'm drafting Zeke at 4 or 5 still. I don't care. I'm taking the risk. I'm rolling the dice. Maybe not in every league. No one should draft everybody in every league. Just making sure we're not back live. No one should draft a ton of guys in all these leagues and screw yourself if a guy gets hurt even or gets suspended or fails a drug test randomly. You don't want all of your teams going downhill. I'm feeling a little bit better, Bumpy. We'll see we'll see how good I am for the 24-hour live stream, which is this Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes I wonder what the hell I'm thinking. Why did I commit to doing another 24-hour live stream? I don't know. I don't know why I did. Hit the thumbs up on your way in, please. We're about to go live back on CBS Sports Radio. I keep listening to make sure we are not live right now as I talk to you guys. But thoughts on Gordon. So I think Zeke will be back. Gordon, I'm a little more scared about. I think this could go in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks into the season. But I'm still drafting Gordon with a smile in the 4th and 5th round. When he falls to me, I'll take the risk. I'll put in another player for a couple weeks to get Melvin Gordon value in the 4th round. Now, the risk goes up. Gordon could get hurt because he's sitting out. Sitting out oftentimes leads to injury. But still, I take the gamble all day long. Roll that dice in the 4th round. Boom. Love it. So, Fournette or Montgomery, 0 running back candidates for sure, bro. Montgomery for sure. Fournette, yeah. I mean, I don't love Fournette, but I definitely would consider him there. Smitty, who would you rather have? Darwin, Damian Williams, and Odell Beckham Jr. or Barkley? I'd rather have that's a tough one, man. It all depends on the other pieces. I would get Odell and Darwin. Oh, okay, so you'd be getting D. Williams, Darwin, and Odell or Barkley. Yeah. That's a tough one, man. I think in redraft, well, Darwin could be the future too. It's so hard to know. I think we're live, so. We're back, so. It's been a pleasure answering questions for you.
In the NFL on 1580 AM, 99.3 FM, Cincinnati, Arizona's new home for sports. Russ Bliss with you till 8 o'clock tonight. I am live at Santisi Brothers. We are
hit the thumbs up. Come on.
Number 1 of the regular season. I know we're still in the preseason.
Calvin Ridley ceiling.
I'm out here at Santisi Brothers anyway, giving the extra opportunity to come out here and fill out
wide receiver 2.
Because you can come out multiple nights and fill out multiple entries, different teams, and try to win the fantasy challenge. Do what no one else has ever done in the 20 years of the fantasy challenge. come in first, second, and third in the same week. No one has ever done that, ever, in 20 years. I have had first, second, I have had first, third, I have had second and third, all won by the same person. I have never had the trifecta of someone taking first, second, and third. So, come on out and join us. You got plenty of opportunities. Well, 9 entries for those that came out last night. Come out tonight, come out tomorrow night, come out all 3 nights next week, and then come out all 3 nights the week after that. That's 9 entries for the Fantasy Challenge. And it's free to play. Just start a quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, kicker. Only caveat, no 2 players from the same team. And the only place you can play, CNBC Brothers. The only time you can play, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 o'clock. I broadcast this show live on Wednesday nights from 6 to 8. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I am not on the air. I'm just hanging out with you guys, talking fantasy football, answering your questions in person. So make sure to come on out and join me. I'm always in the spot. I'm in the corner just before the entrance to the game room inside the restaurant. I will always have a Rams jersey on. Doesn't matter. I've got white, I've got blue, I've got Los Angeles, I've got...
We're going to get to running backs and wide receivers here in a minute on the show.
90% of the time, that's going to be me most likely. Not too many people wear Rams jerseys. However, with the team looking better over the last 2 years, I see more Rams jerseys out as over the last 2 seasons. They've been kind of surprised. Let's go ahead and, Smitty, you're still with us on here, correct?
I'm here, sir.
Awesome. Let's go over your thoughts at the running back position. You know, you mentioned Ezekiel Elliott. You consider him at 4 or 5. I'd consider him at 4 or 5 because, really, to me, I think that there is, if Ezekiel Elliott was in training camp, he would be in that discussion for the first overall pick, possibly as the safest person you could take with the number 1 pick overall, because you know you're going to get 1,500 yards from him. You know you're going to get a dozen touchdowns from him. You can think that if he was there in training camp and happy. But I'm right there with you. I think at 4 or 5, I'm willing to take the chance and hope that I can at least hold it off for a couple of weeks if necessary.
Yeah, definitely, and I've scooped him up. I got him at number. I'm doing a buddy league right now. This isn't an expert league. I've done a lot of expert leagues where he's fallen to 6, 7, and I've got him. But I did a buddy league where he fell to 10, and I was just like, what a gift. I'm scooping him up, and there's no way he misses a big chunk of the year. This is not the same situation as the Lev Bell. And the Lev Bell situation did not end well for Lev Bell. I've heard some people argue that he made a statement. He made a bad statement, a statement that it failed. He would have made the same, ironically, I believe the same exact number Lev Bell's making this year would have been his franchise tag tender amount, and he would have made a boatload more had he played and signed his contract. He would have made, I think, $20-something million that first year alone. So I don't think this is going to go the distance. I'm rolling the dice. But there are plenty of running backs, Russ, that are going to be good this year that I'd love to get into. So let me know what the next topic is, and I'm hoping it's running backs.
Let's talk about the running backs now. Currently, one of the tier groups that I found online has, of course, the 3 we talked about, all in tier number 1, Barkley, Kamara, and McCaffrey. Then in tier number 2, they've got Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Nick Chubb, James Conner, Joe Mixon. Not quite sure if I agree with this because I am scared of the Arizona Cardinals, but at the same time, David Johnson, you know, you can't judge everything off of 2 preseason games, but I'm a little scared with him in that number 6 spot right there. Le'Veon Bell, actually, I'm very happy with Le'Veon Bell at number 5. I think Le'Veon Bell's going to surprise a lot of people. He didn't play at all last year. He's got fresh legs. He's motivated. He's happier. He doesn't have as good a supporting class, but that just means to me that they're going to lean on him even more.
Yeah, Lev Bell, to me, I just did an Instagram video on this, Russ, and I said take a chance on Lev Bell in at least 1 league. Have some shares of Le'Veon Bell in some sort of fantasy league, because everybody plays 3 and 4 and 5 fantasy leagues now, Russ. You can take a gamble on a guy like that, and the last time we've seen him play, he was phenomenal. And yes, there was a year off. I get it. but there's more reason to believe he will do well than I think reason to believe that he'll do bad. And when he has an 8 to 10 ADP, he's worth the risk in one league. I do not like Joe Mixon in 2019. I'm also staying away from James Conner, who, Russ, that was my number 2 bold prediction, dropped right here on this show last year. James Conner would win leagues for people. And you and I started talking about that before Lev Bell was even thought to be a serious holdout candidate. So I'm a James Conner believer, but that situation looks a lot like, in some ways, last year, where Samuels and Benny Snell are the guys that are the secret weapon stashes to own. So I don't like Connor. I don't like Mixon in that next tier. I do agree with Chubb. I do agree that David Johnson should be there. I like Lev Bell. And another guy that is down below in the middle of the next tier is Dalvin Cook. This guy could be a top 5 to 10 running back in 2019, maybe a top 5 to 7 overall player.
You mentioned Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's just a guy that scares me because I'm not sure that he can stay healthy. I'm not sure that he's going to be as explosive as he was pre-injury from his rookie year. And I'm just a little concerned about him. Now, the guy in the next tier group that stands out to me as far as, having upside to really be into that tier 2 group, 2 of them, well, 3 of them actually. Todd Gurley, because, of course, if Todd Gurley is able to stay healthy, is able to get out there and get 18 touches a game, we know what he can perform. He can be a top fantasy running back all by himself. I think that finally, with Mike McCarthy gone, Aaron Jones is a guy that has a lot of upside. Because now we're not going to see more of Jamal Williams being subbed in nearly as often. And Kerryon Johnson for the Detroit Lions. I think this kid just showed really well last year, and I think he's going to continue to surprise people. What are your thoughts on those guys?
I like Kerryon a lot. I think he could creep up too high. Like if he starts costing you a second-round pick, I think you're ruining some of the ceiling value or the pop that he could have from your draft selection. I think that he's a great third-round player. I love Aaron Jones about the same way, and they're kind of in a similar situation, and they have kind of similar upsides and similar concerns. They're really kind of identical. Aaron Jones has been bulking up. A lot of times weight gain and muscle isn't a good thing to add when you're a running back, but when you're a running back that hasn't been able to stay healthy, let's try something new. And getting fit and taking an offseason seriously means he might stay healthy. Now, we'll see. He's already a little bit banged up. That's been making people a little bit skeptical of this whole, he's going to change and be a different running back this offseason. But I like Aaron Jones where he's falling, which is kind of like the top of the 4th round now. So a top 10 running back potential, yeah. I love Aaron Jones for that. Todd Gurley, I'm staying so far away from, and I think you know that, Russ, because we talked about that over and over. You came on my 24-hour live stream, actually, and we talked about that. And I'm all about Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson's he struggled so far in the first 2 preseason games, and everybody's willing to jump ship already. They just came out today and said he'd get about 9 to 10 touches right away. So they're obviously confident in him, and things that they see in practice they like. I love Darrell Henderson at his falling 7th to 8th round ADP. He was climbing too high, but now I do like him. So I like Jones, I like Kerryon, I don't like Todd Gurley.
Okay. Smitty, we're up against the break. We're going to put you on hold. We'll bring you up on the other side. We're going to continue to talk some more about some running backs. I also want to get your thoughts on the Washington Redskins running back situation. And then I want to get your opinion on that fantasy draft that I sent you. I got Gary's opinion last hour. I don't know if you were listening or not. If you did, I let the cat out of the bag. But if you weren't, I want to find out whether or not you can guess which team was mine.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to put you on hold. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Red Zone, talking fantasy football in the NFL. Our guest in hour number 2 tonight, Smitty from SleeperU.com and the FantasyFootballShow.com. Stick around. More fantasy football talk coming up here on 1580 AM, 99.3 FM. The Fanatic, Arizona's new home for sports.
1580 The Fanatic.
Okay, guys. So we are on a break, a commercial break again. I'm here to answer questions. Hit me with questions and let's do it. I appreciate everybody's patience as we do the show like this. It's the first time I've actually recorded my side of the CBS Sports Radio program from my angle, and I wanted you guys to experience it from my point of view. When I get the call, how I do the call-in, and I just thought it'd be fun to incorporate that into the YouTube show. And I think it's working out great, and you guys get to hear some different content. This is a weekly, every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern until 11 p.m. Eastern. I'm on CBS Sports Radio, the world's longest-running fantasy football radio show, The Red Zone with Russ Bliss. He's been doing it 23 years. I've been doing it 16. It's been a long road and an awesome show, an awesome opportunity to be with Russ for 16 years on this. Henry or Jacobs, I'm going to go Henry for now, but I could see that being kind of close. Big mess as usual lately, Washington Redskins run game. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Just making sure we're not live. Aaron Jones better catch a lot of passes. Yeah, that could be that's something I'm hoping. Kittle late. Third round is nice. I agree, and everybody's getting really down on Kittle because of Jimmy G. He didn't have a good QB situation last year, and I think Jimmy G needs to be given a break, and we'll see how he shakes out. Now, if Jimmy G keeps struggling, maybe they replace him. I don't know. But I do know Kittle had 1,300 yards and 80-something receptions last year with a bad QB situation. So, Smitty deep, sleeper Dexter Williams. I believe he is a good sleeper candidate, somebody you might want to cuff to Aaron Jones. I agree with that. That's not a bad one at all. What are your wide receivers? What wide receivers are you taking over Dalvin Cook? I'm taking maybe Odell. I like Cook and Odell about the same. I like to pair them together in a lot of drafts. Smitty, you live in Chicago. Or Smitty, I live in Chicago area. 12-team, one keeper. Okay. Which running back group is better, Kamara, Gurley, Fournette, or Cook, Jones, Montgomery? That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Kamara. No. Cook. That's a tough one, man, because I like Kamara that much. But Cook, Jones, Montgomery probably. I think Montgomery's going to be really good. Would you draft Luck? I haven't been drafting Luck. Thanks, Dennis, for the super chat. You the man. Thank you, Dennis. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit notifications. I'm going live for 24 straight hours this Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Hit notifications so that you know that I'm going live when I go live. And I'm going to have one of the biggest names in fantasy football on the show, I believe. It's still a go. I'm hoping that still is a go. About the third hour. So about the third hour, make sure you're there. Make sure you're there early. This Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, thefantasyfootballshow.com, or just go to youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. 2 p.m. Eastern Friday. I'm going 24 straight hours live from this studio, from out and about, shooting baskets in my backyard, working out, running. I'll probably run a couple times. Did you see the Darrell Henderson getting 9 to 12 touches a game? I did, Wes. I did. And I'm very excited about that. Okay, we're getting close to getting back on with Russ, going live on CBS Sports Radio. For those of you just joining us, we are on CBS Sports Radio. Please hit the thumbs up on your way in if I've brought you any value at all. We're going live on CBS Sports Radio again for the third segment. And we are live. Let's go live. And so I'm going to go ahead and hold on one second, guys.
Brothers Pizzeria and Sports Grill, where I'm going to be every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 o'clock from here until the end of the regular season. So come on out and join me. We always have our free fantasy football challenge that we invite you to play. We've also got our text line as well here.
Russ pretty much invented daily fantasy sports, by the way.
368-1580. And I just saw a little while ago, Papa Mike wrote in, first-time listener that works noon to midnight, Monday through Friday. I feel your pain there, man. Can I fill out a weekly fantasy entry form on the weekend, or is it just when you are there? Unfortunately, it is just when I am here. So I apologize for that, but definitely, I invite you to come out and check out Santisi Brothers if you haven't had an opportunity to yet, because the place is awesome. Wide wall of sports.
We're going to talk running backs, I think, a little more than wide receivers.
Television's all on one wall. Over 110 TVs everywhere. If there's sports action going on, it's going on here at Santisi Brothers Pizzeria and Sports Grill. Now, joining us on the program, Smitty from SleeperU.com and the FantasyFootballShow.com is our guest. And we were talking running backs there. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more of the running backs that we've got listed on here for the different tier groups. Now, we talked about Todd Gurley, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Dalvin Cook. But I want to get your opinion on 4 more running backs that are on this list right here. And that's Damian Williams of Kansas City, Devonta Freeman of the Falcons, Melvin Gordon of the Chargers, and Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. I know that over the years, you and I have talked extensively about Derrick Henry and how he had incredible upside, but then he was being kept held back by the other running back. That's DeMarco Murray that they had in Tennessee. And now Murray's gone, and Henry appears to be the exclusive workhorse there. Last year he split time with Deion Lewis. What do you think? Is he finally Derrick Henry time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see Henry get unleashed, and we saw a little bit, and Russ, we talked about that, I believe, on the show last year, too, about one of the last rags to riches type player that could emerge that wasn't starting that could, and Henry blew up, and Henry was a man just bulldozing over people, and can he stay healthy is the only question, and I think that's why people are still scared to draft him at second-round value, and sometimes why you see Henry fall to the 4th round. And I'm all in at that value. There are some players I like better in the 3rd round that I might draft ahead of him, so I wouldn't call him a 3rd-round lock for me. But in the 4th round, he's a great grab and definitely has that top 10 potential per start. It's just a matter of will he start 14 games. He's a big guy that is very abusive to his own body when he runs, and you got to expect some injuries and being nicked up, and you can't expect a long career out of the guy. But Damian Williams was the other guy you mentioned. Damian Williams, to me, I get the concern about Darwin Thompson. Darwin Thompson looks very good, but Damian Williams has a very complex offense down pat. And when you have to learn a very complex offense like this Kansas City offense, it gives you a very big advantage. Darwin couldn't come in and run every play. They'd have to do things special for Darwin, just like they had to for Damian when they threw Damian in. But Damian had 6 straight games, Russ, the 4 regular season games and the 2 playoff games where he was literally the best back in football if you look at the numbers for 6 games. He didn't falter. He didn't have a bad game. He scored 10 TDs in that 6-game span. I think it's really, really, really important to cuff him to Darwin. And Darwin Thompson, as much as I like Damian, the situation is the king. The situation is king, and this environment here is going to produce a top 5 to 10 running back. So Darwin is one of my sneakiest grabs. Even when I don't own Damian Williams, I still grab Darwin every single time I can, Russ, in the 8th and 9th round when people aren't even thinking about it, because I want to make sure I have them. That duo together is a must. That duo together is a top 5 to 10 running back.
Now, are you surprised that we're starting every year in the preseason? We hear a lot of hype about this guy's really showing up, and he has the chance to be a top 10 fantasy running back, or that guy. 2 guys that recently have gotten a lot of play in this conversation are Marlon Mack and Chris Carson. What do you think of Marlon Mack from Indianapolis and Chris Carson of Seattle? And is there someone else that people should be paying attention to?
Absolutely. I'll answer that last question with a bang. But I'm not big on Marlon Mack at his ADP. Now, if he falls to like late 4th round value or 5th round, I'd take him. I like the upside, but he's very injury prone, and there's a lot to prove. And there's worry about Luck now and Luck's health. I'm just kind of staying away from a guy like Mack when he's going to cost me. It's more about me liking the guys around Mack's ADP more than I like Mack. It's not really that I hate Mack. And Chris Carson, I won't touch. We don't know if it's going to be Penny. We don't know if Chris Carson can stay healthy. And everybody's talking about Chris Carson every year as if he's earned the ranking that he always has, I'm staying clear from him. And to answer your last question, the one guy that we haven't talked about yet, Russ, that is the absolute win a league player. Like, you want a bold prediction, here's the bold prediction. David Montgomery's number 26 on this list that you have here, and David Montgomery is going in the 4th and 5th round in a lot of very novice leagues, or people that are drafting with magazines, or they're drafting and they're doing cram sessions right before their draft. He's going in the 4th and 5th round. In very experienced shark leagues where people are sharks, they are good fantasy football players, he's still falling to the 3rd to 4th round. And David Montgomery, Russ, I don't understand why he's not being ranked in the 18 to 25 overall range right now in fantasy football drafts and on ADP data, because David Montgomery is going to win you a league in the 3rd and 4th round. You talk about my Arian Foster prediction back in 2010 on this show. I feel like this has got to be that one, because why is David Montgomery in the 4th and 5th round? It's just head scratching to me.
Smitty has been joining me here in the Red Zone for about 16 years now, I do believe.
16.
How long our relationship actually goes back further than that, but as far as, like, the fantasy football stuff, being a guest on the program, honestly, it's about 16 years now. So appreciate you always making time for us. Let's go ahead and talk about that draft that I sent you. Did you have a chance to take a look at that, and what did you think of the draft? A couple of surprise picks that stood out to you in this, and who do you think really walked away looking like a champ, and who walked away looking like a chump?
So, Russ, it won't open for me right now, ironically. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to spoil it for me on this one. I apologize. I know.
Okay, well, maybe we can go ahead and talk about it next week.
Okay.
And get a fresh perspective at that time.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go ahead and go back to something that I wanted to make sure that we got in before we were out of here anyways. Bold prediction. You've already thrown out a couple of bold predictions so far this year on the program within the past hour. Give us a couple more things that you're thinking about. Hey, you know what? This is a guy to really target, or this is a guy that everyone's big on that you just need to stay the hell away from.
Yeah, so David Montgomery, I just kind of told you about that one. That one, I'm telling you, I don't understand how, especially after that one run. I know it was only one run, but the hype was already there in my opinion. Apparently not in everybody else's opinion. I don't know. But David Montgomery will win you leagues in the 3rd and 4th round, just flat out. Dalvin Cook, I talked about being a top 5 to 7 overall player, and you can get him in the 18 to 20 range. Those are kind of some of the bigger name guys. Now, if you want to go deep, I think Darrell Henderson, who I already mentioned, I think can win you a league. Jalen Samuels with Benny Snell, who I kind of touched on earlier, can win you a league. Russ, the number one advice I have for people in fantasy football, if people want to know how I do what I do, where I pick these guys that come out of nowhere like Connor, and I end up having a team where I can trade a guy that I picked up 7th, 8th, 9th round, trade him for a Mike Thomas later on, or start him in my lineup. And it's how I draft. In the 7 to 12 round range, Russ, I focus on running backs that can blow up and become a top 5 to 10 running back. So Darwin Thompson needs to be grabbed in your 7 or at least 8 to 12 round range. Jalen Samuels is a guy I grab in that range. Alexander Madison, who backs up Cook. I love Cook, but you have to look at the standalone value that a Madison has. He's blowing up in camp and in practice, and they love this guy. And I like Darrell Henderson as well. There are a lot of running backs there, Russ, that I think you need to grab, and they can explode. And if you want to cut two more, I'll give you three more predictions. Baker Mayfield is going to go nuts in 2019. And I think Odell Beckham Jr. finishes as the number 1 fantasy football wide receiver at week 16's end. And I think he has 15-plus TDs in 2019. I love Baker. I love this Browns offense. I think Chubb is going to have a monster year. But I will tell people this. There was a lot of negativity around drafting Kareem Hunt because he's out 8 games and then has a bye week. You have to own both these guys. Like Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb is a very injury-prone player. He's a very aggressive player, an abusive player to his own body. But I think if you can cuff Nick Chubb to Kareem Hunt, you have yourself a top 5 to 10 running back in 2019. Those are just a few, Russ. I'll leave a couple more of the bold predictions for next time, but I'm really high on that late running back strategy that I have where I'm grabbing Darwin and all those guys.
He's Smitty from SleeperU.com. He's been giving us full predictions for over a decade, close to 16 years, I do believe. And you should have, the year that Michael Vick exploded for the Philadelphia Eagles, Smitty was on board with that as one of his bold predictions at the beginning of that year. When Arian Foster finished out that one season with the last 2 games for the Houston Texans, we talked the next year. Smitty was all over Arian Foster as a top 5 fantasy running back when everyone else was kind of like, we saw him for 2 games, we don't know if we trust it. So this guy has been giving you this stuff for decades now, and it's always good stuff. Smitty, before I let you go, let's talk about that Washington Redskins running back situation. Darius Geis finally looks like as though he's going to get on the field for the Washington Redskins. Drafted high last year. They drafted another injured running back this year. Adrian Peterson did a surprising job for Washington last year. What do you think about Darius Geis? What do you think about Adrian Peterson? Is Peterson a must handcuff the Geis? Or is Geis one of those guys that, I'm sorry, you need to see him do something before I'm going to buy into him at all?
I think it depends on his ADP, Russ. If you can get Geis as a backup running back, not even your flex, but like a backup running back, I think he's worth owning, and he's definitely worth owning in Dynasty. The question is, he can't be possibly ready, Russ. Is injury prone as you could now label him, and I think it's safe to say he's injury prone. Rushing him back is the worst thing they can do. Your body is not ready. His body cannot be ready. Physically, 100. He's no way he's 100%. Even if he looks to be 100% and he's acting 100%, that's because other muscles are compensating, and he will tear or pull something else. That's how players tear their groin muscle off the bone. That's how people tear Achilles tendons. That's how people tear their patellar tendon. And Russ, I know that because about a year ago, I snapped my patellar tendon off my kneecap. And I did that because I was overcompensating and I wasn't fully rehabbed. So I think the best thing they could do for Geis, and the only recipe for success, is to ease him in and let him loose by midseason. Then I think he could have a big, big year. But if he gets out there, goes full go, I fear he's only going to get hurt. And Adrian Peterson, man, in the preseasons looked okay. Could this guy possibly have another, 1,000-yard even season? It's crazy.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us again this year. Always appreciate the fact that you're available for this radio program. And if I get a chance on Friday night, I will definitely give you a dial-up. Usually Fridays are kind of like a weird night for me, but I remember having a lot of fun doing your last 24-hour broadcast on FantasyFootballShow.com. And wouldn't mind being part of it again for sure.
Well, good news, Russ. I'll be live for 24 straight hours. So if on Saturday you want to dial me up at 9 a.m., I'll still be there.
Awesome, my friend. I will talk to you at the very latest early next week. Best of luck in all your fantasy leagues. Thanks again for all your time. And looking forward to another season of having you here in the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back on CBS again for another year, Russ. And it is 16 years. You are correct. Thanks, Russ.
Hey, you got it. That's Smitty. Check him out. FantasyFootballShow.com, SleeperU.com. I'm Russ Bliss. I'm live at Santisi Brothers Pizzeria.
All right, guys. That's a wrap on our first live CBS Sports Radio show broadcast from Smitty's side of the fence. That was fun. I'm glad I got to do that with you. I'm going to answer questions for like 5 minutes, and then I'm going to jump because it is exhausting trying to maneuver through all of this and then get ready for my 24-hour live stream, which is going to be this Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 24 straight hours here on YouTube. And I have one of the biggest names in fantasy football coming on the show about the third hour. You probably cannot find a bigger name than this guy in fantasy football. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm hoping that doesn't fall through or anything. That should be. The reason I'm not naming it is I'm just grateful that they may come on. But I don't also want to get everyone's hopes up over and over. and then something falls through or something, because things like that happen. But 2 p.m. Eastern this Friday. So today is Wednesday, right? So not tomorrow, but the next day, 2 p.m. Eastern, I go live for 24 straight hours here on YouTube. Go to thefantasyfootballshow.com if you ever get lost, and it'll point you right back to this YouTube show. I'm feeling better, Paulie Cat. I'm not actually 100%. Anyway, final questions before I get out of here. I'm not going to say baller. Final questions before I hit it. We got 61 people in the room, only 38 thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up, guys, please. Come on. For those of you that watched the drama unfold on Instagram last night, I'm not sure of how many of you follow on Instagram, but in the Fantasy Football Throne League, the counselor accidentally dropped Darwin Thompson, and it was a whole big old mess and unfolded in front of all of you. You know how you fight when everybody fights in fantasy football, right? So it's like that fight that everybody gets in where you don't talk to somebody and everybody's mad at somebody. Like, we literally had one of those like beefs right in front of everybody on Instagram, and it was like a 3-hour like just unraveling. So everything's back to normal, and it's going to be awesome. So get ready for the live stream. Hopefully I go on the scooter. So yeah, rewatch it if you missed the show. All right, guys. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching. Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, thefantasyfootballshow.com. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you.